guest number 3 of the evening. And this is someone that I'm very intrigued about and I look forward to chatting with. And that is our friend Dan Kostelec of the Shakespeare Approves. So let me invite Dan to join us while I pull up something else over here. Let's see over here. Shakespeare Approves. Okay, and you'll see just by the image I threw up in the background that Dan's got a a lot going on. He's got the Shakespeare Approves, he's got Shakespeare's Coffee Break, and he's got what looks to be the not so self-serious social distancing players. So let's find out all about that. Dan,
Hi, thank you so much for having
how
me.
are you? It's
I
a
am
pleasure.
great. Oh, the pleasure is genuinely mine. This is exciting and fun for me, and I'm usually up and active this this late into the evening.
At this
I've
time of
become
night?
more, yeah, because of COVID, I've become it's become far more of a day job.
Really? So,
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
just judging by all the content you're putting out there, it seems like this is literally a full-time thing for you. You're working day and night on these projects.
Oh, genuinely, yeah. I went 100% full time with Shakespeare on
Hmm.
Friday, October 25th of 2019,
Okay.
and the winter was always going to be my slow time for 2020,
Hmm.
and things getting busier in late March, early April, and
Hmm.
late March is when we shut it all down. So it's like, ah,
Right.
okay. I'm just I guess I gotta go full time online. And so
Hmm.
I had that benefit of already having trying to do some online content, and thankfully my fans said yes, we want to join you.
So what was the genesis of all this for you, Dan? You've been doing this. You for those that don't know who haven't seen your work, you do basically you are Shakespeare,
Hmm.
and you have the costume and the whole setup, and you do Shakespeare. Basically, you're Shakespeare having a coffee and having a beer and having an ale and having some fun, and it's like a Shakespeare happy hour,
Yeah,
more or less. So
that's
when did
exactly
this
what
all
it is.
start for you, Dan?
So that all started because of COVID, but ordinarily in I guess what we're calling it the before times, I've done, and hopefully the
BC before Corona.
yeah before Corona, and hopefully in the a what will it be, AV after vaccine, um,
Right.
I do a one-man audience interactive improvisational Shakespeare show
Hmm.
at Renaissance festivals, at schools, at libraries, at random events. And so, for instance, if we're doing Romeo and Juliet, I will be Shakespeare narrating the show and then pull up audience members into it to essay the parts of Juliet, of Romeo, of Mercutio, of Tybalt, of
Hmm.
Benvolio, and I coach you on the lines, and then you say the lines, and so it's a lot of I say, you say. We do that um, for about 22 to 26 minutes, and
Hmm.
everyone has a silly good time, and I'm turning each of them into a cartoon, is both with energy and the jokes and just where we go with it, and each one has a fun, silly hook. So I have about a dozen of the shows that I do. And Romeo and Juliet, for instance, is the Flying Implement of Doom edition. Uh, and
Okay.
and the Mickey for that is I find a small child. So the Flying Implement of Doom is always a small child. I find a small kid and I say, "Hey, have you ever been a Flying Implement of Doom?" And they're always like, "No." I'm like, "Mom and Dad would disagree." So it's a cheap joke, but and I say,
Right.
"Here's how you do it. Have you ever murdered anyone? No. Now you should start. Put your hands like this, put them over your head, bend over at the waist, and stab people in the belly." And they do that, and every time they're about to kill someone, I have the audience yell, "The flying implement of doom!" And we go on. And that was my very first one that I started in 2006.
Hmm.
And then since then, we've added Twelfth Night and the Three Bears, where everyone always exits pursued by a bear, even though that doesn't belong to Twelfth Night. We have Macbeth, Death by Fluffy Kittens, which
Hmm.
is my most popular one. That
It
was the
sounds
third show
like
I
it. It sounds exciting.
It was insane. That one stemmed from a car ride conversation with my wife. We're like, what would be funny? And in which she's just like getting licked to death by kittens. And it's like,
Hmm.
cool, let's do that. So there's nothing so dread or deadly in the entire world known as an adorable fluffy kitten. And so I have a beanie baby kitten, and I'll like
Hmm.
hold it up to people's faces as it begins to lick them, and everyone, and with the scratchy tongue, oh, it hurts so good, and purrs, and saucy Nina's eyes with his tiny little claws, and he was loved. But how was he loved? And the audience yells, "To death!" And it's really interactive. I have for some of the shows 20 people in them.
Hmm.
For others, it's only 5 or 6. But the entire audience is always involved the whole way through. They're giving dramatic music, the dun dun dun, and oohs and ahs and random sound effects. I ask for them because I want it to be approachable and fun and silly for everybody. Because when you go to a Renaissance fair, you tend to know three
Hmm.
things. You know, there was a queen, hopefully, you know it's Elizabeth, if it's England, um, or a king sometimes. You know the name Shakespeare, and you know there's
Hmm.
jousting. But usually what you associate with Shakespeare is something that bored you in high school, or that your teacher failed you on. And I want to drive home the point that it is approachable, that it is silly, that it is fun. And so taking all of them and basically making them all a cartoon, up to and including Titus Andronicus. That one becomes Titus Andronicus, you know, for kids.
Hmm.
That's
The
what we
ultimate
can make them
child-friendly show,
approachable.
Titus Andronicus.
Oh, it really is. It really
Right.
is.
Hmm.
Kids need to learn early how murder is done, like appropriately. Like when you're chopping off a hand, it's not a chop. No, it's a back and forth sawing motion. You got to have put
Mm.
patience in your back into it. And so with the COVID and being at home, I felt, well, better way to start to get to know my friends a little bit better than to have a daily talk show. And so Shakespeare has a coffee break Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, and
Hmm.
on Fridays we have the happy hour,
Hmm.
which becomes. I try to make it like the Graham Norton show. It's just a fun panel, and we have a good time. And uh, I call the Friday happy hour the shameless self promotion happy hour. So it's like, what are you pushing? We're all here to push our shows. Let's do
Hmm.
that. Go throw money into people's tip jars, people. And it's just, I think, a fun way to keep Shakespeare relevant, to keep him accessible, and also entertaining for people. Of having that, because I have that as the daily way of keeping my daily and weekly way of keeping myself in people's memories and lives. Because then about once a month I do a weekly. I mean, yeah, once a month I do a weekly. No, once a month I do a show with professional actors from the Renaissance Fair and theater worlds
Hmm.
who are,
Hmm.
were otherwise unemployed, and we do a scripted version of one of my shows. So I'll take my Ren Fair show, which I make up half the time on the spot, and
Hmm.
then write out a script for my actors based off of that, but new jokes for the time period. For instance, when we're doing Hamlet next week, the Hamlet Christmas special, and that is based entirely on Hamlet is having an unsuccessful Zoom meeting. It's just like I want to have a conversation with my friends, and people keep kicking him out of his own Zoom and telling him he has to go do stuff, and he needs to discover the true meaning of Festivus. And in order to keep it thank you. And in order to keep it audience interactive, um, the way I have at festivals or at schools
Hmm.
is and also pay the actors. Each of these shows I do is funded by an Indiegogo campaign, and audience members can pay $50 to get a chance to be in the show, but also support the actors.
Right.
And the goal overall is just to raise a relatively modest amount of money,
Hmm.
about $100 per performer.
Right.
And some of the shows we've hit that number exactly. Only one show did we come shy of that, and that was only by a few dollars. And then several of the shows, and we've done, this will be the 11th? Goodness. Um,
Wow. Well,
yeah.
from what I've seen, I've caught your presentations a few times, and I've always had fun. I always have a
Oh,
laugh,
thank you.
and judging by what I'm seeing in the chat box on the page here, let's see. Ryan Schaefer says Shakespeare Approves is incredible,
Oh,
and
thank you.
Erin Catherine says the Hamlet Christmas special was so
Oh,
fun.
nerd.
So, so you have a lot of fans out here, and you know it seems like one of the reasons that I find, I don't know about the others, I find your presentation so appealing is that it's not just it's not just toilet humor or whatever. It's that you really have your understanding of Shakespeare, and you have a way that you make it fun and you make it approachable, and you take the serious and you add some levity to it, and it's just a really fun way to approach Shakespeare.
Well, thank you.
And it's a very different. You have a very niche way that you present it, which is very specific to you, and I think that's wonderful.
I try to make it as niche as possible, partly so no one can steal it from me.
Absolutely, that's what it's all about.
But then also, just I feel that because I'm doing the show without a co-star, the audience is my co-star, that if I have an inside joke, I have to let you in on it. And so it's a running internal monologue that is I just happen to be sharing everybody in on. So if I'm giggling, I think I'm hilarious, and thus you will think I'm hilarious. And then when it doesn't, I say, "Oh, that joke doesn't work." Or if they laugh at a joke I know is bad, I'm like, "What? How dare you?" And so I will scold the audience and be like, "No, I'm going to teach you what funny is." And that was not it. And people really like it. I think people like learning something new while they're laughing, because if you're laughing,
Absolutely.
you're opening yourself up to the impossible.
Absolutely. And you have someone else saying, Marvin the Professor says, Shakespeare Approves is a delight every time I get to a Ren fair. So you
Oh,
have
Marvin.
quite a number of fans out there. Well, listen, Dan, I've seen your stuff for quite a while now, and I often retweet or whatever, share your content onto the New York Shakespeare social media pages,
Thank you so
and
much.
I'm happy we're finally able to connect. I think you're doing a lot of great stuff, and I look forward to much more inebriated fun with you on Fridays, and caffeinated stuff on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, if that's correct.
Yeah.
Where Go ahead.
No. Go ahead, please.
Where can people, if they are new to this, or if they're just watching this for the first time on the replays, or from an audience that hasn't seen you before, where can they find your content?
Oh, well, basically, everywhere you find Shakespeare Approves, because I'm Will Shakespeare, and I approve this message. No, that's a joke that needs to go away. Oh my God. It's Shakespeare Approves on Facebook, Shakespeare.approves on Instagram, Shakes Approves because it's too many characters otherwise on Twitter,
On
and
Twitter, right.
Shakespeare Approves on YouTube. And I just basically try to bring the funny, and I want you to come on with me on this really weird, incredible journey in my mom's basement. It's fantastic, and I would love to get you on my show at some point. So,
I'd love to. I'd love to. We'll work that out. I'm
oh, you
happy.
hear that, internet? He said he would love to. It's in stone now. That's a contract.
Oh, it sounds fantastic. I'm happy to do there, but make sure it's on a day that you have the coffee, because I'm a coffee addict, and
Oh yeah, oh my God, I'm literally drinking coffee right now. So,
two great minds that are having a meeting of the minds. So okay,
so
well, Dan,
you have
listen.
Zenith players next on this show.
Yes, and I think they're
Tell them.
regulars on your broadcast, right?
Oh yeah, they are regulars on my Friday show to
Okay.
promote their weekend performances, and they're amazing and wonderful, and you're gonna have a great time talking with them. But also get their side of the story, because like you brought us both on because obviously you want two sides of the story. TJ knows what he did, so.
Okay, we're gonna find out more about that momentarily. All right, Dan. Listen, it's been a pleasure chatting with you, and I look
Thank you
forward to
so
our
much.
future collaborations. All the
All
best,
right,
and send regards to your mom in the basement over there. We're very
I will. Yeah,
we're
I
very
will.
happy.
Thank you.
All right, Dan. Thanks a lot. Take
Bye
care.
bye.
Okay, so that was Dan Kostelec of Shakespeare's Coffee Break, Shakespeare Approves, and oh, I forgot to ask him about the social distancing players. Maybe next time around. So we will say farewell to our friend Dan, and we are just about at